Hello, hello, hello. I am Jack, and I am back once again. Thank you very much for filling in for me, impersonator Jack. You did a okay job, but not as good as the real thing. So welcome to Friday Night Insights, the show where we have clear eyes to help you set your lineup, full hearts to make those tough roster decisions, and hopefully this means your fantasy football team cannot lose. And welcome back to the show, Jordan McDonald. Thank you for filling in. How's it going, my friend?
I'm doing all right. As you can tell, I'm back in the 49ers den. So that means, I got a home cooked meal for the next 3 days. I hit my team, my fantasy teams hit a bit of a snag with the bye week. I didn't realize how many Detroit Lions and Washington football team and Tampa Bay Buccaneers players I roster, but week 9 has just thrown me for a loop. So you can tell I roster a lot of DeAndre Swift and Terry McLaurin.
Okay. You saved it there. You phrased it.
And TJ Hawkinson, Antonio Gibson. It's
Jordan, I have rostered a lot of Lions and Washington football team. Why? Oh, okay.
Well, no, like the main players, the main ones. But I probably should have, picked some other players in different leagues. So I didn't do this to myself. But those are good players. So
I will counter that, and I will say I did that in one league. I took an L because I had Deontay Johnson, Mike Williams, and Amari Cooper, and Dak Prescott all on bye at the same time. And it worked out. You lose one, I was undefeated before that. So that's the way she goes. But if we're talking about people who aren't losing, that's at that FF nerd, Jason Draven. Jason, welcome back, my friend. I don't know, I'm welcoming you back. You were here last week. Welcome back to me, but I'm glad to see you again.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I mean, we clearly missed you. There were some technical difficulties, but I think the fake Jack did just fine. And, with it being that spooky night, we kind of just fell right into things. Speaking of good news and being a winner, I started Mr. Pittman and Taylor and Wentz last night. And I just got a trade done that I get Justin Jefferson, sending off Darrell Henderson and Rondale Moore.
Wow.
Let's go.
Wow.
Dynasty? Is this redraft?
It's a keeper. So I'm super pumped that I got. Now I'm going to have Justin Jefferson along with Taylor and Cavanagh, and I think I have another really. I've done a lot of work.
Justin Jefferson and Jonathan Taylor. So
that's an embarrassment of riches if I've ever heard of.
The RB1 in Jonathan Taylor and the wide receiver 2 in Justin Jefferson, because yes, Jamar Chase is now the wide receiver 1. But we've got some questions here for the people, and so we'll start with our good friend Bowen Assman, who wants to know, all right, football nerds. I don't know if we're all nerds. I'm a pretty cool guy. Jason down there.
Jason is literally a nerd.
He's the nerd.
In the name.
Here.
Works out.
It's fair to say we're all nerds. I'll take it. Zach Moss, Adrian Peterson, and Mike Davis. Who should I start in full PPR? And so I have my answer for this, but I've heard we need some context from Jordan.
Yeah, so if you're watching, I want to apologize for telling you not to play Ty Johnson last night. You know what? He asked me if the Colts D had a good rush defense, which they do. I didn't think Ty Johnson was going to be that relevant. I thought Michael Carter was going to be the dump-off guy, but apparently Ty Johnson, he stepped in. And
Michael Carter got one dump-off and took it for 37 yards. It was frustrating. I don't think you're wrong.
No, but and anyways, so in terms of this, I go Zach Moss. I think that the matchup against the Jaguars is very tantalizing. AP, I'm worried about just because he's just off the street, needs to learn the offense. Mike Davis, I mean, that's a hope and a prayer. But you also told me, and I don't know if this is true. I don't know if he was on waivers and you still could pick him up. Jeremy McNichols, another interesting player. I would just say I would still play Zach Moss, but if you had McNichols would be my second. But I'm going Zach Moss.
Yeah, I would go in that order. It'd be Moss, then AP. I'm actually really excited because of the fact that they already put him on the active roster after seeing him only 2 days of practice. Makes AP really interesting, but I still want to see it first before I trust him.
That wasn't a shock to me, though. I figured that was inevitable.
Well, I understand that it's inevitable, but at that same point, the fact they were like, okay, he's already grasped it this well, this quickly, we're going to put him on there and have him ready for this weekend.
So going back to the initial start of this conversation, I would say you gave the correct advice because I would start Zach Moss over Ty Johnson, especially with the Bills matchup this weekend. So Zach
PPR,
Moss. Zach Moss.
Yeah, but even out of those two, like you expect AP and Mike Davis to be catching passes?
Probably. Well, I don't know. AP used to be okay at it. Well,
No,
not Mike Davis.
But he's just like he's so new though. Like I can't see him just like.
Also, that was a lie. Adrian Peterson was never good at pass catching. He had Chester Taylor spelling him early in his career. This is false. No, I do. Jeremy McNichols is going to surprise a lot of people with how successful he ends up being. He could be a league-winning running back, but I'm not starting him this week. I'm not starting AP either. I want to see how both play out. Zach Moss to the moon for Bowen. Next question, Devin Story on YouTube. Hey, boys, back again. Full PPR with Kadarius Toney, Jarvis Juice Landry, who has some interesting news sprinkled into his life, or Jerry Jeudy. So since Jordan started last time, Jason, you'll start this time.
Yeah, this becomes super interesting because of that news. But I think that I will actually go with I'm going to go with Jerry Jeudy here. I like the matchup, and I think the fact that I think Sutton will be the one who actually gets, I believe it's, like, I want to make sure I'm looking at the right one here. They play the Cowboys, right?
Yep. Yes, they do.
Yeah. So yeah. I'm assuming Sutton will have Diggs on him. And with that in mind, I think Judy's going to get a lot of the dump offs, as well as having no Noah Fant there. So that's another big part of the news is the fact that Fant's out, so he's going to get even more targets.
Yeah, I like that too. I like that. I like Jeudy because Fant's not there for sure. But out of these three, I would wait and see if Toney is starting. If he is, I probably will go him just because when he plays really well with what we've seen with Daniel Jones and no Shepard. Know a lot of people. The only really receiver they have that's going to be somewhat healthy is Darius Slayton. But Jerry Jeudy would be a close second. Yeah, so I would probably go Toney. If Toney doesn't play, Jerry Jeudy.
So we've got Toney against the Raiders Toney against the Raiders, and we've got Jeudy against the Cowboys.
And Landry has the roughest matchup going up against the Bengals.
Yeah, Landry is out for me.
That's another reason, but he should get a lot of targets, which is kind of why
he'll get targets. He'll have, let's say, 12 targets and catch 5 of them for 48 yards. I don't want Jarvis Landry. There's no upside with that, even without Odell Beckham. So I still think even Donovan Peoples-Jones, he's still questionable. He's the wide receiver 1 there in actuality. So yes, I think I'm going to go with Kadarius Toney on this one over Jerry Jeudy, just because Jeudy, he's still slowly coming back from that injury. He was okay last week, but
yeah, and I think he also missed a practice this week with the ankle as well. So I can understand that.
I think they're just being cautious with him, which is understandable.
But he's dealing with a lot of health issues too, though. That's the other part of it is I'm just so nervous for anybody to stay healthy for the entirety of that inning games because you don't know who's going to survive as a Giant.
Yeah, and even Landry missed time this week at practice. So let's 2 out of 3 dentists will recommend you Kadarius Toney, and so we are going to go with that one. Soaring Eagle 175 on YouTube wants to know, should I trade DeAndre Hopkins and lock it for AJ Brown?
Ooh, that's a lot.
That is a lot.
Yeah, I think you're way overpaying here for sure. I don't think I would do that trade, but it really depends on what your team looks like. And even then, I guess you're kind of older. How old are they considering?
It's a 10-team league as well. And so I think Lockett, Hopkins, the problem is he's been banged up. He's got the hamstring this week. He's a true game time decision. But Lockett, with Russ coming back, he could be equal to or greater than A.J. Brown in terms of rest of season outlook with Russ coming back.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
The
Jason.
only thing that makes this kind of interesting is the fact that both Hopkins and Lockett are 29, and A.J. Brown is 24. So if you're looking at it that aspect, and that would be very interesting if it's a dynasty or a keeper.
Yeah.
He's going to be a better option longer term.
If it's dynasty or redraft, I say no. But if it's a keeper league, I say yes.
Yeah.
Hopkins and Lockett, even in a dynasty league, they have 3 years at near prime left. Hopkins' target share is not that great. I understand that, but a lot of that is because of the injuries he's dealt with. If and when he gets healthy, that is going to skyrocket, I believe. So I still think Tyler Lockett for A.J. Brown straight up, they're very comparable players. Everyone loves A.J. Brown because they think the Titans offense is going to get better, or their passing game at least, and they'll have to rely on him more. Probably, but we've seen in the past they've been reluctant to fully feature A.J. Brown. So I'm sticking with Lockett and Hopkins with Russ coming back. If it was Geno Smith the rest of the way, I would go with A.J. Brown. So, any arguments there?
No, I was going to make the point too. Yeah, like maybe this person thinks that the passing game's going to open up for the Titans with no Derrick Henry, which is probably why Brown may be valued a little higher. But I think that the price is too much. I know that D-Hop is banged up and his target share is less than what we envisioned, but still, like, you give it away Lockett, and Lockett could regain form. Well, he was brilliant against the Jaguars. I know it was Jaguars, but still, like, he was really good. I just think it's too much.
Yeah.
So I would maybe tone it down, like maybe throw in something else. If you really want AJ Brown, like one of those receivers, and someone a little less on their tier.
And so for our next question, we have BG on YouTube in a half PPR league. We have Flex Darrell Williams or Zach Moss. And I am smashing Zach Moss here because Derek Gore, I think is his name, is apparently the new RB1 for Kansas City. Relegated?
I wouldn't go that far.
For now.
He's not the RB1 on the team, no.
Over Darrell?
No, it's still Williams. Don't get your facts confused here, Jack.
Is it a 1A, 1B, though?
Yeah, it's a committee. Like, they've always.
Yeah.
That's what you're right back into. And so, because it's half PPR, you probably want Gore more than Williams. But Williams is more likely to find that end zone. So.
Really? I disagree.
He's the goal line guy. He's always been that. That is his role. That is what he does. Whether it's CEH or somebody else, that is what he does, unfortunately, and why I don't like him.
But you remember, Moss plays the Jaguars, so that's
why. I love Moss. But,
so that's why he's more likely to score a touchdown this particular week. I understand most weeks that argument is fair, but against the Jaguars, it's a 2-touchdown game for Zach Moss.
Yeah, I agree that you're playing Zach Moss here. It's just I don't want people to get confused. The Darrell Williams is trash, which he is, but
I don't want people.
The whole situation, you can't just say he's the worst. He's a top 24 back. Probably going to find the end zone. Yeah.
And so that'll do for our questions for now. And if you have any pending questions that you would like answered, hit us up in the comments, in the chat, and let us know. But in the meantime, Odell Beckham Jr. has been released by the Cleveland Browns. He will officially be on waivers on Monday. So a team can claim him. They can claim his $7 million contract with that. However, they re-altered his deal for cap reasons, and Odell Beckham Jr. will be a free agent at the end of the season. So any team that claims him only gets him for this year, unless they want to franchise tag him, but that's a whole other topic. But Jason, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on this? What are the best landing spots for Odell Beckham Jr.? And I will be right back, but I will still be listening.
Yeah, so with the whole thing, the fact that Odell is going to the Raiders is my favorite landing spot for him. I've seen a lot of people swirling around at other spots, but the fact that they just made some money cuts with, I think it's Richard who just had a cut in his salary, and then that makes it interesting. The other good spot would actually be the Lions because they need a dominant player to actually step up and be the one and he can easily come in and just assert himself. He's that big body guy. He has the talent. He could easily be the wide receiver one. It's just, man, the whole situation is just a mess because nobody's going to claim him right now. He has to clear waivers. And then, of course, it has to be, because nobody wants to pick up that contract. That contract's massive. So he has to clear, and then you have to have the cap space for him because I'm assuming that he gets a vet minimum and all the other boring facts that nobody cares about. But I think that the Raiders is probably his best bet. What do you think, Jordan? Where do you want him to go?
Well, let me just start off by saying we need to stop putting Odell Beckham Jr. on a pedestal. I tweeted this a couple days ago. The guy has not been elite for 4 seasons. Let it go. With Steve Smith coming on and saying oh, Odell, or Baker, you're the reason why you suck is because Odell, you're not throwing Odell. Let's stop this.
Did you watch the YouTube video?
Yeah, did you watch the 11 minutes, dude? That is pretty rough.
the REM song, they definitely didn't pick himself. No, I don't care. It just makes me angry that people just have put him on this pedestal that he's the greatest wide receiver since Jerry Rice. And he's been depreciating each year. He had the ankle injury in New York, okay. Went on to Cleveland. We all thought he got pretty much neutralized by Freddie Kitchens. They got rid of Freddie Kitchens, okay, that was that. Then you injure your knee, okay, gone. Okay. I know the Browns played better, and now this year, and now he's pretty much invisible. He is now, he's not on the team, but he was invisible. He's barely out there. I don't care if Baker's not throwing you the passes. I don't know.
He's getting open, though.
I don't care.
Wide open. 11 minutes of video of him being wide open and not getting the ball anywhere near him.
That was my soapbox. Right. Anyways, best landing spots. Jason named probably the best 2. I would like him on the Saints. I think the Saints have an opening now. Michael Thomas isn't coming back, and they haven't really got much production out of their wide receivers they have now. Callaway's kind of been, few and far between, and then Deontay Harris and whoever else they had, Traquan Smith. I love the people that keep drafting Traquan Smith every year, thinking this is the year it's the breaks out, and he never does.
Yeah, because Deontay Harris. That's why he doesn't.
Well, but no, it's not though, because it hasn't happened. And now that you have Simeon, if you have any plans to make the playoffs, the division's still in grass. They beat Tampa Bay. Might as well pick up a weapon like OBJ. I say weapon as I just shat all over him.
Well, they were trying to trade for Odell
exactly,
Beckham
that too.
Jr.
So they are interested. So I would say the Saints just because that's what Jason didn't say. But there's not going to be a lot. I don't know what he expects. He's going to go to a new team, new playbook, got to develop chemistry with the quarterback that you probably haven't played with. I don't know what he expects.
So I think that he's either going to go to Kansas City and be the wide receiver 2 there and just stop the McCole Hardman hype train that has never, ever, and will never, ever hit. I think that would be a good fit. Or the Green Bay Packers and become the wide receiver 2 to Devontae Adams. But there's a lot of things going on with the Packers right now. I don't know if the world could handle all of the conversation that would come out of that. But we'll just leave it at that. We will not comment on Aaron Rodgers for now. Steven Johnson just got here, guys. Hello, Steven Johnson, and welcome to the show. If you have any questions, just hit us up, and we will be more than happy to answer them. Soaring Eagle has another question, though. Soaring Eagle 175 has another question. Should I start Amari Cooper even with the hamstring? I'm nervous, and he's going to follow D-Hop's trend of playing with injuries and not doing great. So with that, I would like to know the rest of your team before I give an answer. So if you can tell us who your other options are outside of Amari Cooper, we will let you know. But back to Odell Beckham Jr., because it's a lot of fun to talk about him. Is he worth anything for your fantasy football team going forward? Do you hold him? Do you trade him? Do you cut him? I saw someone cut him today, and I think that was a terrible mistake.
Yeah, I'm picking him up if he's available, just depending on who I have to draw for him, and just holding to see if he's signed somewhere that's worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
But until then, you can't just cut him. It's not enough for me to say, okay, I'm not going to have him on my team because he's not on the team.
It can't get worse than it has been.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think that you do have to hold. You probably draft him pretty early. I wouldn't cut bait just yet because he probably will go to another team, and yeah, we don't know. Like maybe he does go to this team and just absolutely balls out. We don't know that. So
it literally could not get worse than it is right now. So why not just wait one more week? Unless you, for some reason, you really have to.
Or there's a better option if your league's not that deep and you can pick up somebody who's just been dropped, who has value, then go for it. But.
And so, Steven Johnson, is McCaffrey or Kittle actually playing this weekend? It sounds like Kittle is rip-roaring, ready to go. And we were going to talk about that later, but we'll get to it now. Kittle expected to play. Deebo Samuel, his status is up in the air. If it's up to Deebo, he's going to play a full set of snaps, go 100%. However, Kyle Shanahan seems iffy about doing that, because Kittle is coming back. And really just so sad for Brandon Ayuk. He finally starts to have a good week of practice. The reporters are saying nice things about him. And Deebo's out, or potentially out. Gonna rely on him heavily. And except no, we don't do that because George Kittle's back. McCaffrey, on the other hand, completely up in the air. We will find that out tomorrow. So make sure you follow at Cavanagh87, at Donald McJordan, and at that FF Nerd on Twitter, because we will have commentary on when McCaffrey plays or sits. So keep an eye out for that, but we will find out tomorrow about the status of McCaffrey and Darnold. But Kittle, rip-roaring, ready to go. So Soaring Eagle 175, Emmanuel Sanders and T. Higgins versus Emmanuel Sanders or T. Higgins or Amari Cooper. Who are we going with here?
If Amari Cooper is starting, you have to play him. I'm sorry. It's just you have to. It'll get even better if Lamb is ruled out.
Yeah, that's kind of what you're looking at. If now, assuming that he's out, the next best option I think here is going to be Sanders, because I know everybody was so.
Why do you hate T. Higgins? I don't know what it is.
I don't hate T. Higgins.
Hate T. Higgins.
This is his best matchup, and it's just the Chase is so dominant. And the fact that the Browns do not have a secondary. So I love the fact if he had more targets, I'd be all over Higgins.
I can't start Emmanuel Sanders after what happened last week. He put up a goose egg.
Oh, but you're okay with having Higgins do the same thing week after week and just.
But he's not a goose egg. He's at least putting up something. Like Emmanuel Sanders got literally no points last week.
Fun fact about T. Higgins: he has more targets over the last couple weeks than Jamar Chase does.
There you go. And
it's coming.
Although I will say though, if Cole Beasley though is dealing with rib injury, if Cole Beasley doesn't play against this Jacksonville team,
and Knox,
Knox is already out.
Yeah,
I may consider that.
And you're likely not having Beasley. That's the reason I'm saying.
It depends on Beasley. If Beasley's playing, I'll probably still go Higgins. But if Beasley's not, I'll go Sanders. So
I can get behind that. The only worry though, it is Jacksonville. It could be a blowout pretty quickly, and then they just run it.
So you're saying one pass for 80 yards and a touchdown? I'm okay with that.
So yes, I think we'll leave it at that. So we're sitting Cooper. Is that the answer, or we're playing?
If he's hurt, if Cooper plays, you have to play him.
Okay.
Yeah, especially if Lamb is being limited, man, it becomes super juicy to me.
Yeah, Lamb is also, his status is also up in the air. Michael Gallup might return this weekend as well. Does that change anyone's plans?
No, not really.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about it. I'm not a big fan of Gallup.
It's not that I'm a big fan of him. I just think that he hasn't been on the team for about 7 weeks.
Now that's a respectable answer.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan of Michael freaking Gallup.
Yeah, he bit me so hard last year.
Oh, there it is.
I'm not a fan of Michael Gallup or trusting him in fantasy.
So I could tell.
I would much rather have Lamb or Schultz playing and use one of them over Gallup for sure.
Dalton Schultz.
Well, like Jarwin's dealing with a hip injury.
Oh my God. Let's move on. Let's move on.
So if anyone else has any other questions, make sure you hit us up in the chat and we will answer them for you. But in the meantime, Von Miller to the Rams. And I know we're usually and mostly and primarily a fantasy football show, but I have to ask, does this make the Rams Super Bowl favorites? And now I need to know, give me your AFC and NFC championship games, whether or not it has the Rams.
Sorry, like you want us to like our two teams in the NFC, like just
Yes.
I have to go NFC. I'll go Bucks and Rams, and it's easy answer, but that's what I think will happen. AFC, that was tough. I'll go Bills Ravens for my AFC championship.
Bills Ravens, and who's
Bills,
coming out
Ravens.
on top?
I want the Bills. I want the Bills to come out so badly, but I think that I don't know. I don't want to pick the two best teams. I'll go Ravens Rams. Ravens play in their home stadium, or Rams play in their home stadium. I think that'd be cool. I'll go with that. Like, I think Bills might be too easy because it's probably gonna be both top teams in each division or each conference.
And then Jason's smiling down there. He
wants the Chargers Rams. I know he does. He's looking at me.
I want him so bad. You have no idea. I know it won't happen, but man, that would be so sick.
That would be pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie.
To have it in LA. Oh man.
The Chargers to me, like
I would pay anything for that ticket. I would give up all of my money. I don't care. I would go bankrupt to go to that game. There is no doubt in my mind I would get any loan I could to pay for a ticket to go to that game. Because, oh man, that would be so much fun. But I do think it will be the Bucks, and I do think it will.
You think it'll be the Bucks?
Yeah, I think
or the Bucks beating them in the NFC Championship.
Yeah,
See, I don't even have the Bucks making the NFC Championship
because they don't have a good enough defense.
That's spicy.
I think. I know I said we wouldn't bring him up again, but Aaron Rodgers, it's the last dance, his last year in Green Bay.
Give me a break. No.
He's going to make the NFC Championship and then lose in devastating fashion to his former rival. It comes full circle. Matthew Stafford knocks off Aaron Rodgers to go to his first Super Bowl where he wins it over the AFC champions who won over the Baltimore Ravens, because I think Lamar Jackson can win a Super Bowl for the Ravens, but not with this team right now. Instead, Buffalo Bills, LA Rams, Rams win.
Yeah, it's probably the Bucks and the Rams. I do think the Rams probably make it to the Super Bowl because they are shifting into that gear. But man, it's probably it has to be the Bills and the Rams in the championship, and it's because Herbert can't get it done in his first time in the playoffs. So,
well, that was a lot of interesting conversations. You can tell we all did our own research on that. And so we will move on to Thursday Night Football and the trade deadline, because Marlon Mack was not traded, but was also inactive. What the damn hell?
All right, I will admit this came as a shock to me.
You couldn't get anything for him? You couldn't get anything for Marlon Mack?
They could have. They had offers. They turned them down because of the depth in case Jonathan Taylor or Nyheim Hines goes down. The problem, they made him inactive.
Well, that's what I'm worried about, because maybe we'll find this out on Hard Knocks. I want to know what happened, because Marlon Mack had just blown up. I don't want to say he did, because I don't know for sure, but he could have had an outburst or something, been suspended by the team, and because the Colts keep everything in house so well, didn't get released, and now we're wondering why he's inactive. But I didn't get this because it makes sense why they didn't trade him for the depth, but they got rid of Jordan Wilkins, who was 4.5 yards per carry. I know it's behind the Colts offensive line, but still a good depth piece they just got rid of. Behind Marlon Mack, if he's playing, is a rookie named Deion Johnson from Duke. That's it. That's all they have, plus the two guys they have now. So I was a little shocked at this, because if anything, knock on all the wood, would have happened to the two guys. They would have had no running back. Would they throw like I don't even know Zach Pascal back there,
Probably.
like or Ashton Doolin?
No,
Yeah,
they just let Wentz. They just let
Hold
Wentz
on.
swing it
I
out
am
on the
here
field.
for the Ashton Doolin carries. Ashton Doolin needs to be used on jet sweeps.
I think he was. I think he had at least one that I can remember last night.
Okay.
Possibly.
I saw someone wish for one, and I didn't know if it actually ended up happening or not. Anyways, Aaron Cantu is 5-3 in his league, trying to consider some moves. Main RBs are DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams, I assume, with the J. Will, and Zach Moss. My wide receivers are Jamar Chase, Keenan Allen, Robert Woods, Jacoby Myers, and Rashad Bateman. Any buy low guys I can look at shopping for either wide receiver or running back in a full PPR league. And because it's full PPR, I will start with Chase Edmonds. He has out-carried James Conner in back-to-back weeks. All he's missing is the goal line carries, which he probably will never get. However, the Cardinals aren't going to be blowing teams out in every game. They're going to have to throw more at some point. Chase Edmonds is going to be the benefactor there.
I'm actually going to say Josh Jacobs. I'm thinking
it.
I'm thinking that based on who he has, he can probably switch Moss and Woods, and that will get him more than enough to get Jacobs off of any team.
Oh, you need an extra piece on top of Jacobs
to get it. Yeah. But I'm just saying those two are the.
Yeah.
I don't want them on my team. Is what I'm really getting.
Those are the building blocks to get Josh Jacobs and a second asset.
Yeah, because those are Woods continues to find the end zone, which is saving his life in fantasy, keeping him alive. But it's not somebody you want, and being that touchdown dependent is just so frustrating. So those are the two that I am willing to get rid of to get Josh Jacobs, especially since the coach is gone. You don't have to worry about Gruden being there. And this offense is going to have to change because Ruggs is no longer there. So with that in mind, I think they really have to build around Jacobs here and move forward without as a major piece.
And even before, as soon as John Gruden was out the door and Rich Fibonacci, I can't remember his name. It's very hard to pronounce. The new head coach.
I couldn't even tell you what it is. It starts with an S.
Does it start with an S?
I think so.
Anyway, I thought it started with a P, and I just made it. Anyways, doesn't matter. We don't care about the Raiders coach's name on this show because in large part, coaching is overrated in the NFL. It's only big on the margins, the very best and the very worst. Most coaches are pretty average and don't change that much in terms of fantasy. However, John Gruden seems like he was the bottom end of that coaching, whereas this guy is in the middle because now Josh Jacobs, he's getting used in the passing game. He's getting targets, and we love it. So I respect Jason's answer there with Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs, Chase Edmonds. Anyone else that we're looking into, Jordan?
I have a couple of guys. I think that you could probably get Myles Gaskin for honestly nothing right now. Just how
that was another one I was looking at because I'm super interested, especially.
I think that after this Houston game, that's going to change because I think he's going to have a really good week because I think that's going to be a competitive game. And even if it doesn't, I think he's going to have a big week if it's a blowout or if it's a close game with Tyrod coming back for the Texans. Another guy you could look at coming back soon, possibly this week from injury, that maybe you can take him from the guy who rosters him, David Montgomery. Maybe the person has just not paying much attention to their team, doesn't know when Montgomery's coming back. Maybe you can slip them a decent looking trade and take Montgomery off their hands, and now you got him for the rest of the year. And look what he did at the end of last season. He was pretty much a league winner.
Well, and on that note too, David Montgomery, there was a report out that David Montgomery might not be back until week 10, and then we got an update. David Montgomery is going to be mixed into the rotation on Monday.
Is that actually confirmed?
That's what the Bears are hoping for.
Okay.
That is from Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy is hoping to get David Montgomery mixed in. And so there is absolutely no way in the world you can play David Montgomery. It makes Khalil Herbert a little sketchier. However, the biggest thing, Damian Williams, if you haven't dropped him yet, do it now.
Yeah.
Completely irrelevant, will not matter ever. ever again. Unless
Another thing I want to add about Montgomery too, depending on how much he plays on Monday, their next week is their bye week, so that gives you kind of a 2-week window to buy low now before he comes back.
Mm-hmm. I would say trade for him now because a savvy GM will see, oh, he got 6 carries and 20 yards. That's good enough. That's a start. He'll get ramped up.
Yeah, I mean, you might also, if you're looking at wide receivers, I think you're okay at wide receiver, so I'm not too worried about it. But if you do want to look at wide receivers, I think Cookson, Brown, and AJ Brown are 2 options that you can still probably get pretty cheaply. Just because
I don't know about AJ Brown.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know about
it's
AJ
one
Brown.
Game. That's the only reason you have to do it this week.
Yeah,
That's
but he is good though. Like Cooks, like the only person that they thought Cooks gonna good season this year was you. So Cooks
we
is
just
still
read
kind
a
of
trade trying to give up Hopkins and Lockett for AJ
yeah.
Brown. The cat's out of
too
the
much. Which is too much.
It is too much, but
the
that's
cat's
the point.
out of the bag. People want AJ Brown at this point.
Yeah, and especially with Henry out, there's no surprise there. So I don't think you'd have to buy high, I guess, on him.
Yeah, the biggest
story.
I guess Stephon Diggs is also in that same area. People aren't paying attention to how they're scoring.
Mm-hmm.
And
you know what?
They're still top 24 wide receivers that people are just sleeping on.
This would be really risky. I would not personally do it, but if you really want to make a savvy move, maybe look for Ridley. Because if Ridley's out 3 games, comes back, he could pay off dividends, but you're risking it because we don't know what his situation is, could miss the entire season. But I'm sure that Ridley fantasy managers might be willing to give him up because they are uncertain.
And on that note, to clarify what Jordan said, Calvin Ridley will miss 3 games because he was placed on the non-football injury list. And I would like to shout out the NFL and credit them for considering it a non-football injury and considering it an injury, because this mental health is it's an injury. It is as serious as any hamstring pull, any ACL tear. It is all your own health. And so thoughts are with Calvin Ridley. We hope to see him back on the field soon. We hope he is ready to be back on the field soon, and we look forward to seeing him whenever he returns. But in the meantime, we love you and we support you and are looking forward to seeing you back. However, as you said, don't know when he's back, but when he is back, we know Calvin Ridley is a damn talented young man. And so anyways, with the rest of the trade deadline, we did have some big news, and I called this on a couple days, but I don't think I tweeted it actually. I think I said it to friends, so that kind of makes me look sketchy and like I'm backtracking. But Greg Van Roten, we have, Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, or should I say Dr. Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, Canadian hero, doctor who sat out a season to help fight the COVID-19 pandemic, was traded from Kansas City to the New York Jets, and he should become their starting right guard because Greg Van Roten stinks. Anyways, with the Jets, no Corey Davis as well as no Marlon Mack. Mike White looks great. 7 of 11, 95 yards, and a touchdown in just 2 drives. It's beautiful. And then he hurts his forearm, misses the rest of the game. So then Josh Johnson comes in, the man of 13 NFL teams. He's only played for 5 of them, but he was on 13 NFL rosters. The former QB of the AAF San Diego Fleet, the former QB of the XFL's Los Angeles Wildcats, steps in and throws for 317 yards and 3 touchdowns. Is that a bad sign for Zach Wilson that Mike White comes in, puts up numbers, Josh Johnson comes in, puts up numbers, and meanwhile, Zach's just stinking up the joint?
Yeah, it's definitely a bad thing when in fewer games, White and Johnson are both nipping at your heels for passing touchdowns. I'm pretty sure that Wilson has 5 passing touchdowns on the year. White's at 4, and now Johnson's at 3. So that's not a good sign when you're starting, and that's how it ends up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they didn't even have Corey Davis. Like, that's without Corey Davis for White
Well,
and
to be fair, there was no Corey Davis, but there was a Elijah Moore. And I think Elijah Moore might be better than Corey Davis. Anyways, I cut you off, Jordan. Go ahead.
No, I just said that. Let's say Josh Johnson looks good. So did White, but wait until elite Joe Flacco gets a crack at the job.
Woo!
And we won't be having a conversation much longer after that.
Good old
burn it
Joe.
down. Oy.
Good old Broadway Joe the second. Anyways, yes, Elijah Moore, 7 receptions, 84 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Breakout day for him. The buy low window is shut. He is a star, probably the wide receiver 1 going forward. And if he's not, it's because the Jets are bad at making decisions. Ryan Griffin scores the touchdown, which helps no one. And we'd already talked about Ty Johnson scores the other TD, which did help me in, I believe, 2 leagues. 4 carries, 2 catches, 61 yards, and a tug. Michael Carter, on the other hand, 13 carries for 49 yards, and then a 37-yard reception. Gives him 86 yards from scrimmage, which means get him the ball more in the passing game. Just do it.
Well, and this is just extremely frustrating for anybody who started White, because you could have had all these yards as a fantasy manager. I was picking White over people like Jordan Love, for example, which we'll get to later as to why that's even a question. But with that in mind, you also expect, okay, Carter's going to be the guy that has the most time with White. And then now you have Josh Johnson coming in and just like messing it up, because you can see how the correlation between players is clearly affecting in fantasy. These players are that you've practiced based on what string you are on the team. And so that could clearly be seen last night as these players got more and more reps and looked really good together. And it's amazing that I wish, again, that if you had a quarterback and the other quarterbacks were on the waiver wire, that you can't use their fantasy points if a guy gets injured. It's extremely frustrating to me.
And so hopefully Mike White is okay with the forearm injury, especially because if Johnson, who is a mobile quarterback, is the starter, that likely means a hit to Michael Carter and Ty Johnson's production, because we know quarterbacks who run, like Josh Allen, like Lamar Jackson, even like Ryan Fitzpatrick at times, they don't check it down to the running back. And so hopefully we see more of that for Michael Carter and Ty Johnson's sake. But we will see. However, we need to congratulate the Philadelphia Eagles, because the Colts are still in the playoff hunt. Carson Wentz plays 100% of the snaps this week, and they could have benched him in the fourth quarter at any point. The game was under lock. So Carson Wentz, the future of the Colts, and he proves it in a big way with 272 yards and 3 touchdowns. One of which goes to the alpha, Michael Pittman Jr. 5 receptions, 64 yards, and a touchdown in a game. They could have just not thrown the ball once and they would have won. So impressive to see Michael Pittman put that up in a blowout. 1 TD to Jack Doyle, who might be the slowest pass catcher in the NFL, and 1 touchdown to former tight end at Ball State. Haha, nice. And offensive lineman Danny Pinter. So, Jordan, how does it feel to root for a team that is so good, coming off such a good win with such a good quarterback?
I have come around on Wentz. I don't know if you guys have been listening. I've come around on Wentz.
When did that happen?
You mean now that he's healthy, you've come around to him? That's
I have come around on Wentz. I don't know if I've said it publicly, but I've told people, kind of like you've told people about Duvernay Tardif. I think he's fine. I think the first round pick is gone at this point. I think that's a foregone conclusion.
Yeah,
they're playing well enough. Yeah, it sealed the deal. I want to say that the division is not in reach anymore. The only reason why I'm still skeptical is because of the Henry injury, but they lost 2 against the Titans, so they kind of dug themselves a hole there. But the wild cards are still up for grabs. But Wentz is the problem with this team. He does make some really careless mistakes. Needs to be more careful with the ball. But that secondary, woof. Both safeties are injured. Cornerbacks, the outside cornerbacks are very, very sketchy. They need to shore that up because otherwise they probably won't be making the playoffs. But Carson Wentz, not the issue here.
I'll agree for now. He's not the issue. He's probably not the solution, but he's also not the issue.
Hey, honestly, like you look at what they had to deal with, like who was available. I think Carson Wentz with the Frank Reich connection was the best option. You see how these rookies playing.
Oh, especially when you look at because the Colts were never going to get one of the rookies. They would have had to trade up.
Well, they could. Well, you know what? Justin Fields was there. He was there. They could have reached up to go over the Browns.
That's what I mean. They would have had to trade up,
Yeah.
and they value draft capital a little bit differently. So I understand that.
I'm
I'm not faulting.
I know.
I understand them not trading up for a rookie quarterback, and I will say, out of the veteran quarterbacks that found a new home, Sam Darnold, Teddy Bridgewater, even Jameis, who was a free agent, Carson is the best case scenario out of all of that. So it worked out. And a great night from the running backs, too. Nyheim Hines, career-long 34-yard touchdown run. That was great. Turned 6 carries and 4 catches into 108 yards. Absolutely beautiful. However, he looks like a non-factor next to Jonathan Touchdown Taylor. 19 carries, 2 receptions, 200 yards from scrimmage, and 2 tutties to go with it. The best running back in the NFL.
He should have had 3 touchdowns. I know that it's so trivial, but the fact that the first scoring drive, they put Hines in to get the touchdown, I am just so mad that he was there. Like, I watched it happen. I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting. There goes Taylor. That's not Taylor. Why is Hines in at this point? Stop that. Give it to Taylor. Let him get his 3 touchdowns, and I'm completely happy. But no, they had to keep it away from him, and it should have just been flipped in my mind. Hines should have been the guy.
Are your 30 points not good enough for you?
34, actually. But yes, it's not good enough. The man needs to eat, feed him, and then let him rest the entire fourth quarter.
Especially, he suffered a knee injury at one point, too. We didn't see him right before the half. Comes back out and just eats a 78-yard touchdown run. The man is damn good. So is Dak Prescott. Sounds like he's going to play this week. According to him, it's safe to say he's going to play this week, even without his left tackle. And we've talked about the wide receiver question marks. What we haven't talked about yet, though, is Taysom Hill, because he's been upgraded to practicing in full. They signed him to this contract. They gave him all this money, and they're starting Trevor Siemian. What the damn hell? I have to know this answer. What is going on here? And I will be right back, but still listening.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty clear that Siemian came in and had pretty good success based on the situation that he was thrown into with Winston going down. And I really just think that was a big difference. I'm excited for it because I'm a Kamara owner. So Siemian's definitely better for Kamara than Hill would ever be. And I just think that the fact that he has a good grasp of his offense is a big boost. What do you got, Jordan? What do you think on this?
I want to ask you a question because I have this predicament. Who do I start? I think I'm going to answer, and I'm probably going to agree with it. But I just want a second opinion. Who do I start this week in my Super Flex League? Trevor Siemian or Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to go Siemian here.
Yeah, that's where I'm going right now. That's what.
I mean, that is tough, but the fact that he uses Kamara like he should, I think you're going to get good production out of him. And I think that the other options are there. And I wish I trusted Lawrence more, but until that offense decides what they're going to do and who the alpha is going to be, I don't trust it.
Especially because James Robinson's now banged up. The good news with James Robinson, avoided serious injury. The bad news, could miss this week, could miss next week. We don't really know. And that matters for Trevor Lawrence because Carlos Hyde was his second leading receiver last week. That's not going to get you fantasy points.
Is that actually true?
Yeah, it was Dan
It's
Arnold and then
disgusting.
Carlos Hyde.
So I had to do this for the waiver wire, like the important nonsense thing about Jamal Agnew. Jamal Agnew had 12 targets.
Mhm.
I knew I knew his yardage where he had like 39 yards on 6 catches, but 12 targets, led the team, way more than what Chenault and Jones had. So that's interesting too. I found that very interesting.
I believe he had 5 receptions on those 12 targets, and Carlos Hyde had 6. Dan
Okay.
Arnold had 8.
Yeah, Dan Arnold too. Like I'm starting Dan.
I
Arnold.
like Dan Arnold. He is
Yeah.
start worthy.
I'm playing him like because I have Hawkinson on a bye, and I didn't get Freiermuth. So Dan Arnold, I'm hoping for the best.
Two
Dan
first names.
Arnold-
Always
Dan-
a crowd pleaser.
Dan Arnold and Albert Akui-Bunam are the 2 players.
Is that? Oh, you finally got it to the pronunciation right.
Oh, I had his.
Oh,
It's me,
I'm the one
Jordan.
who struggles. Yeah, I can't do.
Other than the Raiders coach, who I don't even know what his name is. It's not a pronunciation issue. I just don't know what his name is.
Fakashia. Rich Fakashia.
Pikashia. Yeah.
Kashia. Okay.
Fuck Fakashia. So it wasn't start with an S. I
B.
just thought that
It's
just
starting with a B.
I had to go in the depths of my brain to pull that out.
Thank you. However, it is me. I'm the guy that pronounces things correctly.
Except
Me
most
fail.
things.
Me fail English. That's impossible. Speaking of impossible,
Impossible.
Devin Story, full PPR, pick 2 out of Chase Edmonds, my guy, Damian Harris, Jeremy McNichols, and Chuba Hubbard. And I think this is pretty easy, personally. But let's start with Jordan.
Yeah, a good amount of options there. I think you have to start Chase Edmonds. The shoulder injury, I don't think will be a factor if he's practicing. I think they're just limiting him. Just he's banged up like a lot of people are. Chuba Hubbard, you might not even need him, or he might not even be in the conversation if CMC comes back. So now you're down to Harris or McNichols. I know Jason's going. I personally am interested in Jeremy McNichols because he's the only back in that backfield right now that knows the system well enough. And he's a PPR. It is full PPR, so he's going to be getting catches in a game where they're probably going to be trailing. I sort of like McNichols. I think McNichols has a little bit of a higher ceiling right now than Harris. Not a floor. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, Jeremy Harris's floor is way higher. But I think Jeremy McNichols, with no Derrick Henry, has a higher ceiling than Damian Harris.
Yeah,
That's spicy, but I don't hate it.
I'm actually not gonna say Edmonds. I'm going to go with Harris and McNichols here.
Whew.
Yeah, I'm nervous about the injury. I'm worried that Kyler and Hopkins potentially don't play, and that changes that system completely. And I'm nervous for it.
And on that note, I'll cut you off right now before you keep going, Jason. We did get word from Cardinals GM Steve Keim that they will consider Kyler Murray's future and the team's big picture when deciding his status.
Horns up,
Sunday.
baby, Colt McCoy.
Oh no!
On that note, I believe Kyler Murray will not play this weekend. I could be wrong. However, because I don't think Kyler's playing anymore, I will shift my answer from Chase Edmonds, the easy play, before to Damian Harris and Jeremy McNichols. And to touch on Jeremy McNichols for a minute, he is no slouch as a player. 5'9", 214 pounds, runs a 4.49, and his best comparable on Player Profiler is Tevin Coleman, who people hate Tevin Coleman because of his time with the Jets, time with the 49ers. He was one of the best slashers in the NFL for a time. We love Jeremy McNichols here on Friday Night Insights.
Before we move on, so you still won't take Edmonds, even with the McCoy possible dump off in a PPR league. I still like if it was half PPR or no point, I'd probably go Damian Harris, but I still would probably lean Chase Edmonds.
The whole offense just worries me at this point because
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because, okay, let's just say that Murray and Hopkins are out, and you have Colt starting. I see him working second team, having Kirk and Rondale as his main targets, with Ertz being the guy that he probably targets the most because closest to the line of scrimmage. And, I mean, I could see a couple of dump-offs, but he needs that running back there to really protect him. And man, I don't see Edmonds getting the work that he needs to have the success that he should, especially against the 49ers, who are going to hound McCoy all night.
Yeah.
Yeah, so usually with backup quarterbacks, you can expect a ton of checkdowns, but with Colt, I can see him just with this air raid offense. The idea is you just throw to the open guy. You find space and you just dump it off there. There's less thinking involved. It's just this is the play. This is where the ball's going roughly. This is where it goes. And so I can't see him straying from that design too much. And I think it'll lead to some less. And he's not necessarily immobile either. Colt McCoy can run around a little bit as well. So, yeah, Chase Edmonds and just this entire Cardinals offense now worries me, except I now have this weird feeling that it's going to be Rondale Moore's star performance. I think he's going to have let's call it a 40-yard touchdown run. And
that's
I like that. I like that a lot with the jet sweep coming around. I'm all here for that.
Yeah, Rondale Moore becomes extra spicy this weekend in my mind. I think he's going to get more schemed touches. I think that's why I'm less in on Chase Edmonds. Big overarching point. More schemed touches for Rondale Moore, more first read throws to Christian Kirk, and that's going to be the style of the offense. Whereas, just weird feeling. I could be wrong, but I just don't believe in Chase Edmonds with Colt McCoy. I don't know why. Moving on, though, we will continue to look at Jordan Love. It's his first start. Oh, goodness. I brought up Aaron Rodgers again. I apologize, friends, but Jordan Love, first start this weekend. And I had a friend ask me offline, who do I start this week? I told him not Trevor Siemian. I told him Taysom Hill. That backfired. Now we had to find a new replacement for him. Best options were Jordan Love and Daniel Jones. And I said, shoot for upside with Jordan Love against a brutal Kansas City defense.
That's probably the right move, but man, that's risky. I mean, I was more excited for White, but again, with
hindsight though, right?
Yeah. I mean, White was my clear play this week. I was like, okay, I'm great with White. He's going to have plenty of garbage time. It's going to work out. But yeah, I guess the Giants play who? Golly, the Raiders. He'll be okay. I think they're going to be so amped up, and this is going to be a very emotional game for them that I feel that Jones is in trouble without any weapons.
Well, and
Love's definitely the guy here, especially with the Adams coming back.
They've had the false positive COVID outbreak too going on. They haven't had a lot of practice time. They had to cancel meetings this week. The Giants are just it's been a lot of turmoil for them too this week. It's just weird.
Yeah.
And so some of the other news that we've got going on, because we are not going to get through most of this because we've had a lot of side conversations and a lot of good questions. And so within the next 5 minutes, make sure you hit us up with any final questions you have before we head out in about 5 minutes. But first, the 49ers they haven't decided yet, but potentially Jeff Wilson Jr. could be activated off the PUP, and he could end up playing against the Arizona Cardinals. And this becomes extra spicy because Elijah Mitchell didn't practice Thursday with ribs. He didn't practice Wednesday, was limited Thursday and Friday. He's wearing the no contact jersey. Truly questionable for Sunday. So imagine this. Elijah Mitchell, he ends up being rested this week with the rib injury. Jeff Wilson Jr. comes back in and catches 2 touchdowns because that's what he does. All Jeff Wilson does is score touchdowns.
He could be a league winner if they actually go with him and the knees looks fine and he continues to roll. I don't know how much Elijah Mitchell will factor in when Mitchell's healthy. But I'm going to echo something that Jason told you probably 4 weeks ago. Whenever JWJ returns, maybe even before, maybe even now, I think now that Sermon is now fully droppable in all redraft leagues. And I hate it because I am a Sermon apologist. I drafted him in a Dynasty startup. Hasn't panned out. Actually, well, it kind of did when he was literally the only back they had, but in redraft,
That was
I don't
a
think
beautiful week, wasn't it?
Oh, it was very nice. Yeah, I don't think Sermon's rosterable anymore, especially when Jeff Wilson's gone. There's no reason you should have Trey Sermon on your roster.
Yeah, and I mean that's just it. I think that Mitchell will still have a job there. I do think will spell Wilson, but Wilson's definitely going to be the one that you want, and I am so excited for him. I'm glad that he's back, and I don't want him to play this week. I'd much rather him have one more week of just rest to make sure that you stay healthy for the rest of the season. But we'll see.
And so we've talked a lot about the Giants, and we talked about Daniel Jones not starting him over Jordan Love, starting Jordan Love instead. Another reason for that, we forgot Saquon Barkley. He was taken off the COVID reserve list, but he was declared out with the ankle injury, which just adds another layer of unfortunateness. Same with Latavius Murray. He is out once again with the ankle injury that caused him to miss week 7. They've had the bye now, and this will be the 3rd week in a row with no Latavius Murray.
If Latavius Murray's out, do we play Devontae Freeman?
Oh, well, we play Le'Veon Bell, of course.
Oh, okay. Well, no.
No, you play Freeman.
Like
Freeman's
I don't even feel good about playing Freeman. Let alone I'm not playing Bell, I'm not playing Tyson Williams. But Freeman,
Bell led in touches last game, but he was the worst looking of all the backs. Le'Veon Bell, he's washed, man.
What a fall from grace.
Yeah, he is so aggressively terrible at this point. It is. It's truly sad to see. And so Davante Adams is back. Even with Matt Flynn throughout his career, he's done well. So don't worry about Davante Adams with Jordan Love. The ancillary options in Green Bay will suffer. It's going to be still a lot of targets for Davante Adams.
Do you think it's going to be a big Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon game, though?
Big Aaron Jones game, not necessarily A.J. Dillon. I think it's going to be the two. They're going to focus on their stars, Aaron Jones and Davante Adams.
I don't know. I'm still hopping on Steve's train here. I'm liking Dillon this week. I still think he's a good play just because he's that big body dude that can push through that line so easily. And I know that Jones is a solid back, but man, Dillon's just a monster. He keeps impressing me as young of a player as he is, that he's just able to bully people around like that.
This is fair. He is talented. I just feel and I hate when I say I feel like when describing fantasy football, and I've done that a lot tonight, but at this point in the season, it's a lot of we don't know. We're just guessing at this point. So I think that without Aaron Rodgers, they're going to concentrate around their studs. A.J. Dillon probably, yes, is the 3rd option in that offense, but it's still Davante Adams. You have to play him no matter what.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
And so what else do we have here before we head out? Make sure you get your final questions in before we sign off. Darren Waller is back to practicing after missing week 7 with the ankle injury. The bye sounds like it has healed him up. So that top tight end is back. Another top tight end, George Kittle, is back. Exciting times there. Before anyone asks, you're playing them. You're playing both. Unless I might start Dalton Schultz over George Kittle this week because of how good Schultz is being. Depends on Debo's status.
Yeah, well, yeah, and Gallup. That's the other thing. Gallup being back also hurts Schultz. Well, potentially. Something that I think that we missed on is Sam Darnold, potentially.
Oh, yes.
Because that's important because of Terrace Marshall he should be active, right?
Yeah, Terrace Marshall, he's back to practice after the concussion. Christian McCaffrey, we already talked about earlier. He's up in the air. We'll find out tomorrow. And we will also find out about Sam Darnold tomorrow. So that is why you need to follow Jason at ThatFFNerd on Twitter. Follow Jordan at Donald McJordan on Twitter. And follow me at Javanaut87 on Twitter, because we will react. We will answer your questions when Sam Darnold is eventually ruled out. And they are starting Phillip Walker PJ Walker.
I am so excited for Walker. I hope he plays because, man, Marshall's going to go to the moon.
Because of that second team connection, is that?
Absolutely. They're going to be all over DJ Moore because that's what Bill likes to do, is take away your main option, and Marshall is going to feast.
And Robbie Anderson is averaging under a yard per target at this point over the last 3 weeks. He is just straight gone to the poor man. We're going to go out on this. Poor Robbie Anderson. He gets free of Sam Darnold. He has the best year of his career. And then Sam Darnold comes back and can't hit the broadside of a barb. And it's just sad. Good luck, Robbie Anderson. I wish you the best. And I wish you all the best this weekend with your fantasy football matchups. And so before we head out, Jordan, Jason, any pluggables to plug?
No, I just, like you said, man, I'm sad for Coolio to not have that gangster paradise that he was hoping for in Carolina. And so we're just going to have a fantastic voyage into this weekend and hope for the best.
Yeah, same as Jason, I guess.
Same.
Not on the Coolio train.
Riveting conversation. Yeah.
You can follow me on Twitter at Donald McJordan, like Jack said multiple times in the show. Thank you for that. And yeah, I'm gonna go see the new Eternals movie. So thank you to the audience for not spoiling it. I'll probably get spoiled in the next 2 hours before I go see it because some Joe Blow on Twitter, probably LaShawn McCoy, will ruin it.
You stole the joke right out of my mouth. Please, Jordan, please do not put in the Discord.
Who do you think I am? Do you really think I'm that kind of person? You think I'm like LaShawn McCoy? How dare you?
I'm just saying, I'm going to see it tomorrow, so I would prefer if you didn't spoil
trust me,
it.
man. I would be in the same boat. I hate people who spoil stuff. You will not hear a peep from me.
Well, so that's good news. And if you want to be in the Discord where you will not have things spoiled for you, make sure you sign up on our Patreon, Important Nonsense. And so with that, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time.